Go. Thank you, councillors and gallery. Welcome to our October monthly meeting. I'll hand over to the General Manager to read out the terms of the live streaming. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The meeting is being live streamed and or recorded for on-demand viewing via Council's website. Attendance at the meeting is to be taken as consent by a person to their image and or voice being webcast. All speakers should refrain from making defamatory comments or releasing personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from the defamatory comments made by persons attending meetings, or liability will rest with the individual who made the comments. The meeting must not be recorded by others without prior written consent of the Council in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Councillors and staff are obligated to declare conflicts of interest as required under the Local Government Act 1993 and Council's adopted Code of Conduct. Councillors are reminded of their oath of office, whereby they have declared and affirmed that they will undertake the duties of the office of council in the best interest of the people of Wentworth Shire and the Wentworth Shire Council, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment.
Thank you, Ken. I'll now ask you to be upstanding for the acknowledgement of country and the prayer. I'd like to pay my respect and acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. As we gather here today, we give thanks and pray that we are always mindful of our service to fellow citizens and to our community. Let us continue to strive in our commitment today and always. Amen. Thank you, councillors. Okay, apologies and applications for leave of absence. We do have an apology from Director of Health and Planning, Matthew Carlin. An apology, and we say congratulations to he and his wife on the birth of a new son this morning. So, great news, and wish them all the very best.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll have leave of absence from the 11th of November till the 18th.
Okay. So recorded. Any others? Okay, just a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor McAllister, Councillor Cooper, all in favour? Carried. Any disclosures of interest? Neil? Okay, can I have confirmation of our last meeting, please? The minutes of the meeting on the 28th of September, Councillor Beaumont and Hayward. Any discussion? All in favour? Carried. Okay, outstanding items from... Sorry? Oh, there's two, was there? I think I've got them go. Oh, okay. My apologies. Extraordinary meeting on the 17th of October. Can I have a mover and a seconder of those minutes? Councillor Crisp and Rodder. Any discussion? In favour? Carried. Okay, now item 6.1, outstanding matters from previous meetings. I think I had a Councillor Crisp and Rodder, wasn't it? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Crisp.
For Director Gunn, the Kumiata Wetlands was a project where we were going to do some roadworks there. I trust that it's still on the work schedule. Kumiata Golf Club Wetlands. We had some discussion some months ago about putting some gravel and improving the roadway access. The Kumiata Golf Club Wetlands are the old sewage ponds that the Kumiata Golf Club now maintain as a wetland, and that there was an opportunity to have some signage and so on put up there. And it's just a project that was hopefully going to be completed this year, so I'm just keeping it on your radar, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yeah, apologies for that, and yeah, it is on the program.
Thank you.
Just if I may, there was local land service-based funding to come in to support that project. I'm still waiting on a commitment for that.
I will follow up with Howard Jones to see if he can assist us in getting that to fulfilment.
Okay, thank you. Any other from those? Councillor Hayward?
Yeah, just one on the transportable buildings for the, that's going ahead for the new,
Yeah, in terms of cost efficiencies, it was cheaper for me to buy new ones now. I'll dispose of the old ones.
okay, yep.
Okay, Councillor Nichols? Just turn your microphone on, thanks.
I could leave this till later, but there's a trailer in that yard. Is that a council trailer? It's been sitting there in the open for quite some time, in the Kermela wetlands, where the old sewage farm was.
If there's a trailer there, if you may.
I think what Councillor Nichols, if to assist, might be referring to that in a parcel of land between the old sewage treatment plant, which is now a council yard, and the Kumiala Packers yard is known. There was a caravan there for some time. It's no longer there.
No, this is a trailer.
Right.
So it's like I think it's probably 8x5 trailer. It looks used, and it's been sitting in that yard there for a long time now.
Yes, it is a council trailer.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other queries? Okay, all in favour? Carried. Item 7 is the mayoral report. I'll move it. Seconded Councillor Linklater. I'll just might make a few comments out of the General Manager's and myself trip to Sydney last week. Just in order there, we met with various ministers and some staff out of the Minister Griffin's office. Minister Saunders is the Minister for Western Lands and Agriculture. We had our normal debate in relation to the agricultural land definition and how everything's so prime and precious, and again explained to him the amount of development of new horticulture going out on the red country as opposed to the lifestyle blocks people are looking for. So he was going to look into that, which we have raised before. Minister Griffin's office is the Office of Environment. We, as you're aware, have some issues with the biodiversity offset project. There is some reforms happening and a review happening. So, and that's a lot of that work's being done through the Country Mayors Association. So that will continue on, and hopefully we'll get some positive feedback on that. Minister Roberts is the Planning Minister. I found him quite open and easy to talk to, and I thought was pretty keen to hear a bit more from us in relation to what we want to achieve. So we'll keep working through that and get a bit of info off and see how we go. We also met with Minister Cook, the Emergency Minister for all the dramas, and that was quite positive again. She just basically said to us, sorry, I forgot a title, all the dramas.
Emergency management.
That's it, emergency management resilience. She was very good. She just said, if it comes to it and you need things, just get in touch. So that was pretty reassuring to hear. And we also met with the Water Minister, Minister Anderson. Didn't really hear what I want to hear in terms of speaking about Menindee. We spoke about the 480 reserve and maintaining that the top two lakes. He basically said, forget about it, you won't get it. They have big concerns of Victoria and South Australia will want offsets. Not going to help us in terms of what's happened in the past, and if the practice continues where Menindee is drained first, and whilst it's not an issue at the moment, we've seen the result of what happens when that does occur. So that's a bit of a brief summary. You want to add anything?
No, Mr Mayor.
All right, any other queries out of the report? Oh, yeah. Just flick the microphone on, thanks.
Sorry about that. I'd just like to make a comment about the
Yeah,
Business
go
Council's
for it.
meeting
Yep.
on the 11th of October. It was very well attended and I thought very well received and very worthwhile from our part and also the business owners' part.
Yeah, agree. Any others? All in favour? All in favour? Carried. Okay, there's no reports from committees. Item 9.1 is the General Manager's Report. There's a recommendation there. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Nichols, Councillor Beaumont. Discussion. Questions or queries? Councillor Beaumont.
Mr Mayor, I could just make a mention of the rebranding of council and tourism/library, the tourism information boards, the signage is being printed at the moment and those boards will be updated in the next week or two. So we'll have fresh branding on all our visitor information boards on the entry to our shire.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rodder.
The Australian Inland Botanic Gardens meeting is not listed in the meeting list.
What date's that, Councillor Rodder?
I would have to look it up. It's there. September it was 13th. It was the 11th. In November it will be the 8th. It's the second Tuesday.
Okay,
Thank you.
make a note of that. Anything else? All in favour? Carried. 9.2 is the monthly finance report. A recommendation there. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillors Crisp and Linklater. Open for discussion. No discussion. All in favour? Carried. 9.3 is investment report, the monthly investment report. Councillor Linklater, second Councillor Cooper. Discussion. All in favour? Carried. 9.4 is the annual disclosure of interest returns by councillors and senior staff. Recommendation there, mover please. Councillor Hayward, second Councillor McAllister. Any discussion? All in favour? Carried. 9.5 is a land acquisition of A45 Denton Access. Move Councillor Nichols, seconded Councillor McAllister. Question Councillor Nichols.
How many other essential services on land do we own? Because if we looked at this some years ago, I thought we were going through them bit by bit, but this brings to come up to me as a surprise.
Sorry, and just further to that, I thought that Crown Lands had done a review of all of their lands that had council infrastructure on it, and I might be barking up the wrong tree, but that I have a memory in there somewhere of that happening. So we had a, just on what Councillor Nichols said, I thought we had a full list. So yes, it surprised me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we did have a full list and we were going to work through them, and I believe we had a council staff that was going through that, but I was just surprised to see that we're still looking at.
Yeah, I've just conferred with Director of Finance and Policy. Both he and I would need to take the question on notice and come back to you. The memory is right. We're meant to be working through. I think I think the real reality of this one, land surrounding that yellow highlighted area has been acquired, and this has been missed, I think.
Okay. Councillor Beaumont.
Perhaps a question to General Manager. Under recommendation point 6, compensation to be paid to the Crown Lands for the acquisition of the subject land. Do we have any idea as to what sort of figure that might be?
No, it's an unusual process, Councillor Beaumont, that the compensation, the acquisition goes through, the Gazette all goes through.
Then you get a bill.
Then the compensation may or may not be awarded to several parties. So the answer to your question is I do not have a figure on that.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favour? Carried. 9.6 is the delegated approvals as of the end of September. Recommendation there. Mover Councillor Hayward, seconder Councillor Cooper. Any discussion? Okay, all in favour? Carried. And the division. Councillor Beaumont. Yeah. Division. Everyone. 9.7 is the project and works update. Again, a recommendation, the mover, Councillor McAllister, seconder Councillor Rodder. Open for discussion, Councillor McAllister.
Thank you. I just wanted to check, is the Baronga EDS complete? That job complete now?
Yes, it is.
Just a further note for community interest, it's decommissioned at the moment because of the floodwater.
Okay, anything else in the works? Councillor Nichols?
It's just with the Virunga landfill machinery shed. Has this happened? Because I see we're going to somebody else if it hasn't, not done by the end of this month. And it's nearly there.
We are going, we've gone to
Councillor Linklater.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Question for Director Gunn, just for the interest of the community who may be tuned in. Could you provide an update on the Pink Lakes project, please?
Yeah, the Pink Lake project, as just listed in the report there, we're awaiting the final information back with regards to the investigations for the planning to go through, soils, geotech, and then the design process is happening. It's subject to final confirmation of the geotech report. In the interim period, we have alternative pumps being set up this week to address the stormwater that's currently in the basin.
Thank you, and appreciate the efforts that are being made to assist the weather events we're getting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McAllister.
It's not in here, but I'm just mindful of a project that I thought was happening, and it may be that I've got it wrong. Please correct me if I do. The turning lanes at Bottle Bend, is that progressing? Do you know?
I don't know, but I'll take that question on notice and discuss with Transport for New South Wales.
Councillor Hayward.
Yeah, just a question to General Manager. Pooncarie Campground toilets, is that down at the River Ovals area?
Yeah, it is, Councillor Hayward. What you'll see in the next couple of weeks is a tender for 4 ablution blocks, basically, one for Pooncarie, 2 for the caravan park, and 1 for Baronga. Yep. So I'm informed that the tender and specifications are being finalised as we speak, and they'll be ready for public to take on board. So yes,
That'll be great There's a fair few visitors to Pooncarie nowadays with the caravans, with the power there, and it's becoming a fairly popular place.
On that point, if I may, where's the Baronga one going?
We're putting it on a pontoon and somewhere in the vicinity of the pumps track and. Yeah.
Okay, anything else out of there? All right, all in favour? Carried. There we go. Straight to number 10, notice of motions, questions with notice. We'll go around the table. Councillor Nichols.
Last night we had a budget delivered, and I was shocked that the price of electricity, they're saying 50%, that's actually 56% over 2 years. We have a low socio-economic group of people who live here, and they're certainly going to feel the cost of electricity. I believe we've been negligent with our buildings because at this stage we don't have solar on the buildings. The building, our main building that we look like going into, when I was the director of the club, cost several $1,000s a month. We've got Midway, which could hold solar. We've got other buildings that could have solar on them. I think we need to get with the real world and get solar on these buildings. Batteries have come down in cost, and we have quite a lot of money in a couple of our different funds, and I believe perhaps we could work that they're going to work with water or somehow or other that some of this money could be used for those problems. If not, the government's had grant after grant after grant out, and it's time we look forward and we got solar before this price hit, because you're going to be in for an awful shock when that building's fully utilised.
Okay, very good point. We can look down that path. Councillor Rodder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just in regards to the meeting that we had recently with the Mildura Rural City Council, so I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to have the waste facility information, proposals, plans brought before this council for a briefing, please.
Certainly, we have a consultancy that's been project managing the delivery of all that Simon talked about at that meeting. So he's due for another visit, so we'll bring him into the chambers to let us know exactly where we're progressing.
Thank you. Councillor Hayward. Councillor Linklater.
Thank you. Just a quick question for Director Gunn. It's regarding a section of missing curb on 74 to 78 Wood Street. In the June meeting, we were advised that it would be scheduled for the first half of 22-23, which we're closing in on, so I'm just raising it again so it's captured in the future reports, because the recent weather events are making that area worse in terms of stormwater runoff into people's front yards. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Crisp. I think Councillor Cooper.
Yes, just a few concerns raised by our local resident, Peter James. I can name him, he's put his name to the letter. Just a few concerns about the floods and what's happening now. So you've just written a few questions down, like what level of preparedness by the Shire for the installation of the flood walls across Wentworth Boat Ramp access road. So we know, we sort of discussed that a little bit earlier about the things that if we need will be in place and we know how to use them. How able are Shire to secure all sewer works within the town? I'm not sure about that one. If anybody can sort of answer that one, or with what the current sewers around, whether they're going to flood or I think one down near the hospital already has gone under, hasn't it? Or that toilet block down there?
That's the toilet block.
Toilet block, yeah.
If I may preempt some, and we'll have a general overarching, and I'll get back to Mr James personally, but in terms of preparedness, myself as a local emergency management officer sit on what we call the local emergency management committee, and we we engage with relevant agencies, being police, fire, AMBOs, SES, Bureau of Meteorology and any other specialists around the flooding. So we're briefed currently weekly, and in that briefing, it's the latest information today is a predicted flood level coming out from the Bureau of Meteorology, so that's probably the most recent and up-to-date information we have. That predicted a height of 33.3 metres here at Wentworth. So another question from the community, I believe, was in relation to the temporary wall that goes up along Wharf Reserve. That's readily available and checked and ready to go, but the level even at 33.3 wouldn't command the necessity to have that wall instated at this particular point in time. We know in terms of flooding that it's a moving feast, and we'll monitor and keep tabs on how that plays out. Probably for us, the messaging to the community is that we are prepared. We are probably in need of getting a communication out to the community, advising of where we're at and trying to sort of settle the nerves of some of those more anxious. So I think out of this we'll do that. We have a information tile set up on our web page called Flood Data. So we put out a post last Friday, so we'll certainly do that this week and try and provide some information relative to that. In terms of the local emergency management committee meeting today, it was deemed that with the slow rising river currently, there isn't any need to set up the emergency operations centre. We'll do it by weekly meetings and updates. And in terms of, I think there was another question somewhere that talked about the serviceability of if the stormwater drains have been closed off, like Director Gunn has informed us of, but even in the rain event earlier on in the week, we had 8 pumps going. So the stormwater drains have been blocked off to prevent stormwater coming back up into the town, and we've got pumps readily available, and they were used on, I think it was Sunday or Monday evening, just to ensure the safety of our townspeople.
Thank you. Just in closing there, just one, he said, are there any plans to have a town meeting so all residents can voice any concerns they may have? But
I take that one on notice from you as councillors. I mean, you mix and represent the people. If you feel the need for a town's meeting, the Mayor and I were participating in a Central Darling Local Emergency Management Committee meeting where they had some concerns in Menindee, and they were going to hold one in about a fortnight or thereabouts. So in our priority, not priority is not the right word, but in the escalation of floodwaters, the community may very well command that for further information, but I'll try this communication strategy and get some information out on social media and the website in the first instance.
Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Beaumont, nothing? Councillor McAllister?
Thank you. I have 3 on your indulgence, if I may.
Yes.
Could we please get an update from Destination New South Wales? I think that's the right people. In relation to the signage at Bottle Bend, it currently is a green sign that says Golgol State Forest. This goes back to 2013. I think this has been an ongoing, I've seen emails back that far. What we need is a brown sign that has a primitive camping symbol and a boat ramp symbol. That's all. And if we could get Destination New South Wales to pay for all of that, that'd be fantastic.
On the highway you're talking about, as a directional sign, not an information?
Yep, indeed. That's been a long fought battle. In terms of the condition of roads, you know, that obviously with all of the rain, I know it's an ongoing thing and I don't want to add to the staffing issues at the moment, but just making sure the stations can get their stock and feed and grain and whatever in and out, and making sure that no one ends up being cut off through lack of action. That's more a point than a question. And the third one and final one, the last unsealed lane in Old Golgol is an absolute weed fest at the moment. There's weed seed all over the place. And I just think for the sake of completion, although I might have a little bit of a conflict with it, it'd be great to see that last unsealed road in Old Golgol town sealed if we could possibly manage it. I noticed there's been trucks with bitumen all over Golgol, so it'd be great if there's a little bit left over.
Does that run adjacent to Wood Street and William Street?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Linklater, would you like to take us into closed? Thank you.
Very happy to, Mr Mayor. Move that the council adjourn into closed session and the recording of the meeting be suspended, members of the press and public be excluded from the closed session, and that access to the correspondence and reports relating to the items considered during the course of the closed session be withheld unless declassified by separate resolution.
Okay, seconder for that, Councillor
Can I
McKellar.
just second that with, you do need to specify that it's under C of section 10A2, which is that it's commercial in confidence business. Thank you.
So seconded? All in
Noted.
favour? All in favour? Carried. Thank you, ladies.
Well, that's not in the wording I've got, sorry.
All right. Seconder for that, councillor McAllister. All in favour? Say thank you.
Don't worry about that one.
Okay, thank you and welcome back to open council. I'll now call on the general manager to report on the result of the closed business. Thank you, Mr Ross.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In closed business of council this evening, there was 2 items for discussion. 12.1 being the plant replacement, approval for a tender for a replacement of a dual cab tray truck, and it was resolved by council that council accepts the tender from Johnson's Truck and Coach Service for the supply of 1 Hino crew cab for the sum of $165,666 including GST, and accept the trade price of $24,000 including GST for the council-owned Hino crew cab plant item 522 with a total changeover price of $141,666. In relation to item 12.2 being the deliberation over the Wentworth Civic Centre redevelopment in terms of tenders, and it was resolved by council in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government General Regulations section 178(1)A, accepts the tender from CPM Building Contractors Proprietary Limited to carry out the construction of the Wentworth Shire Civic Centre for contract PT 2122/18 in the amount of $10,664,227.20 GST inclusive, and authorise the Mayor and myself as General Manager to sign the contract documentation to fix the council seal. Further, that the brandy component of the motion be held over to allow continued negotiation as brandy being the preferred contractor, thus allowing council to review the themes and specifications document. The tendered amount with brandy is to be capped at $1,784,794 GST inclusive. Further, that council acknowledge that the total funding secured through several funding streams for these 2 components of the project is $4,616,901. And further, that council approve the budget shortfall be funded via an extension to the already approved loan up to a maximum of $5.5 million, as well as $500,000 for the Future Development Fund Reserve, $500,000 from the Capital Projects Fund Reserve, and $500,000 from the retained earnings. That concluded the business in confidential business tonight.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, councillors, for your attendance this evening. So I'll call the meeting to a close, and the next meeting is...
The council meeting's on the 16th. It's just been brought to my attention that under the